been pretty mean through the years on Twitter.
Already, right off the bat, I know what side this reporter is on. Now, before I get any shit for this, yes, I know it's her job as a reporter to kind of air one side of the situation in order to hear the other side. She's speaking for the other side. I get that. I know it's her job as a reporter. But right off the bat, you can already tell how this interview is going to go.
I've been pretty mean through the years on
Yes.
Twitter, but I don't think that's a reason to excise somebody from the platform. Actually, plenty of people enjoy what I do. Over 380,000 of them, as you say, enjoy what I do, and there's certainly no suggestion whatsoever that I was involved in any kind of racist or sexist harassment of Leslie Jones. What I did was dislike her movie and write a very critical review that she didn't like. After that, I teased her a little on Twitter. If a journalist can't tease a Hollywood blockbuster actress, I don't know what this platform is about. You know, it's a very strange
You saw
thing.
it all. Many of your followers, not all, but many of your followers started to attack her as well. I mean,
Yeah.
some of those.
Now, again, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. God, I sound like a Milo fanboy. Like I just want him to suck my cock or something, or I want to suck his cock. No, I don't hate this reporter, but to me it just seems very obvious what she's doing. Now, this might make her a good reporter, might make her a bad reporter, but she seems so serious about it. She seems like she dislikes him. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, of course, but this is just my attempt at showing how the media portrays opposite opinions. Because what it does seem like is when they have somebody they agree with, they're a lot more lenient on them. They let them openly discuss their views without trying to twist it to make them look bad. That's really what this seems like it's doing. Keyword here, his followers. Followers. Milo is not his followers. His followers are not Milo. The followers do what they do within their own free will.
things were brutal. Wouldn't you acknowledge?
Yes, of course, and some of them were completely disgusting, but I'm not responsible for what other people post on the internet. Is Justin Bieber responsible when his fans cut themselves with the hashtag #CutForBieber? Is Beyonce responsible when her fans go after One Directioners with death threats and rape threats? Of course not. It's preposterous to suggest that a public figure, an entertainment personality, or a prominent journalist is responsible for what other people post on the internet.
This is key. A famous person expressing their opinion has no weight whatsoever on what other people do. One of those examples is when Justin Bieber came out that he smoked pot, or when it was discovered that he smoked pot, a lot of his fans started cutting for Bieber. Justin Bieber didn't get, and as much as I hate Justin Bieber didn't get up and tell his fans to cut themselves because he was smoking pot. That is something that his fans decided to do on their own. Is it horrible? Yes. Should those people cut themselves if they're that retarded too? Yes, they should. There's a difference between a call to action and a famous person expressing their opinion and other people trying to put words into their idol's mouth or trying to practice and carry on the lineage of their idol, whether or not it's accurate.
To what you wrote in 2012 at the Colonel.
Sure.
I would just like to point out that the year is 2016, not 2012. People's opinions can change.
There's a longer piece. The internet is not a universal human right. We ban drunks from driving because they're a danger to others. Isn't it time we did the same to trolls? Trolls, for viewers who don't know, are how people refer to people like you who are mean on Twitter. Which there are very many
People like meanness,
You wrote this, right?
No, of
Is
course.
this what happened? You don't agree with this anymore?
For now on, I'm going to pause the video whenever there is a condescending uptone to their voice.
No, I agree with it entirely. You know, Twitter is a private company. It's entitled to do what it likes. The problem is it's lying to users. Jack Dorsey says that it's the free speech wing of the free speech platform, the free speech wing, the free speech party, that he wants it to be a utility like water, that Twitter is the place you go if you want to express yourself. That's a lie. There is a systematic campaign against conservative and libertarian points of view on Twitter. And how do we know this? Not from the company's own notoriously opaque statements, but from the fact that they apply their own rules so capriciously and so inconsistently that there is only one possible explanation. Twitter is perfectly happy to host ISIS, to host death threats against Donald Trump supporters, and they do nothing in any of these cases. Not hard enough. But you make a joke.
And that little comment of hers, they try to take those down, is what pinpoints exactly what I'm trying to say about her not just being a reporter. It's very clear what side she is on. She says they try to take those down. That's not true. You can go on Twitter and you can see it for yourself how many little conservative voices and libertarian voices there are and how often it's censored compared to violent Black Lives Matter supporters, violent ISIS supporters. They're not necessarily violent, but they have violent rhetoric and hate speech, which is exactly what Twitter is trying to ban. Now, it wouldn't bother me if those stayed up, if Milo Yiannopoulos' account would have been able to stay up. Do I agree with Milo and everything? No. Because as a libertarian, this fucker gets under my skin, calls me a fucking pot-smoking No, I'm just kidding. But really, he should be able to express himself. And Twitter is being a little hypocritical, and as somebody with a libertarian-leaning viewpoint, it's kind of offensive. Triggered.
About a feminist, or you dislike the new Ghostbusters movie, or you have the audacity to dislike the work in, in Hollywood of somebody who happens to be black or happens to be a woman, and then you get suspended.
Well, let me read you what Twitter says. We had a guest on from Twitter earlier this morning who spoke about this. We also have just statements and policies that are available on their website.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the finger. Look at the finger that she is pointing directly at Milo as she's saying, well, those things are up. Their policies, their statements. That is the finger of the most condescending cunt attitude that you can have in the entire world of all of history. When you get the finger pointed at you as somebody's about to read you some information, you know that they are coming straight from the big, gaping, wide vagina hole of condescending attitudes, where lost souls have been ripped out from innocent people's fucking bodies and thrown into this soul to be tormented by these condescending bitch-ass cunts. Again, like I said, I get this feeling that this reporter is not just a reporter just doing her job. She's trying to twist a narrative. You can tell by her condescending attitude when she's like, oh, well, you don't agree with this anymore? And then points the finger. Holy shit, that was brutal.
Our rules prohibit inciting or engaging in the targeted abuse or harassment of others. Over the past 48 hours in particular, we've seen an uptick in the number of accounts violating these policies and have taken enforcement actions against these accounts, ranging from warnings that also require the deletion of tweets violating our policies to permanent suspension.
There's absolutely no evidence whatsoever, and Twitter has produced none, that I'm in any way responsible for inciting harassment against somebody else. It's just an absurd claim, and there's no proof of it. What there is proof of is that Leslie Jones did not like my review. That I teased Leslie Jones a little bit on Twitter. Well, so sue me. I mean, what's the big deal?
But
no big deal. People do that kind of thing all the time. The reason they came for me is I have been public enemy.
Direct proof that she's not just a reporter. She just tried to interrupt him. She said, well, you... That's not a reporter. She's not just reporting. She's trying to push her narrative across this platform. And that is what is cringeworthy about this interview. Milo did a great job, nailed it right on the board. And this is coming from somebody who respects Milo, but doesn't agree with everything he says. But I like what Milo's doing because it's a counter to all the stuff I hate about the left.
#1 for Twitter for a very long time.
You acknowledge it's a private company. It can do what it wants.
Of course, but it's got...
Yes, he acknowledged that the company can do what it wants, but you clearly missed the very beginning of the interview, right after he said the company can do whatever it wants. The point after that he made was that it is lying to its users. The CEO, Jack Dorsey, said that Twitter is this space where you can express your ideas freely. It's a literal space of freedom, of free speech, and freedom of ideas, freedom of expression. That is what Milo said. And the fact that she was like, well, you said it's a private company, they can do whatever they want. Yes, he said that. Followed by the fact that Twitter is lying about being a platform of free speech. I know I sounded a little condescending there, but when people miss that key point, I get a little condescending for reasons, obvious reasons. Okay, I'm done.
To be honest with its users. And the other thing, of course, I went to the...
And it can change its rules anytime it wants.
Of course, but...
She obviously has a habit of missing the point.
What's going to happen if Twitter does change its rules to clamp down on all the most fun people on its network, all of the most interesting people on its network, is that people are going to leave. Twitter's investors should be very worried right now, because what they're...
The great thing about this is the fact that Twitter's stock is down 14%, about 14%, a little above 14%. Whether this is directly related to Milo Yiannopoulos, I have no idea, but it's still kind of a funny coincidence. Hopefully, it's because of backlash from Milo or somehow connected.
Seeing as a platform, they're very concerned with user growth, they're very concerned with the time that the users spend on the site, and they're very concerned with the engagement of their key users.
Investors and executives are concerned about just the opposite, that it's become such a mean place that people abandon it. They've struggled with growth.
But that's a separate but related problem, because Twitter's product is terrible, and Twitter's product has always been terrible.
Why is it terrible?
Well, it is a terrible experience. It is completely befuddling for users. The reason they have problems acquiring new users is that nobody understands how it works. It's not intuitive like Facebook is. And if Twitter had, at the start, built tools to deal with different groups of people who don't really want to hear from each other, this problem would never have happened.
What
the
do
problem
we do
is
about the fact that the internet has become a very mean place?
She just seems so stuck on the fact that Twitter has become a very mean place, that the internet has become a very mean place. Lady, you already addressed this. This is what I mean. Like, she might be doing her job. I don't know. But the fact that it's just so one-sided, it feels like. And I know Milo's going back on Powerlunch, or has gone back on Powerlunch. I don't know. I haven't checked the status of that yet. Because, I don't sit there and go through Milo Yiannopoulos' YouTube and Facebook page like no other. I do like his page. But it's kind of frustrating.
And why? And you yourself endorsed.
Well, I mean, I endorse free speech. I endorse people's right to be mean, people's right to be aggressive, people's right to be mischievous and dissident and fun.
In that piece that you wrote for the Kernel, you acknowledged how painful it can be.
Yes, but if
when you're on the receiving end.
This is why I think she's trying to push an agenda or trying to push her opinion, because she's beating a dead horse.
Well, my view is not going to be popular with everybody, but it is popular with a lot of people, and that is if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. My observation in this particular case is that this movie is not doing well. I suspect that Leslie Jones has been deployed on Twitter to play the victim.
The bigger issue, is there a decline in civility because of the internet?
Dead horse.
Yes, but one of the things that I've observed as a tech journalist, because I'm tech editor at Bright, was my day job, and I'm not embroiled in controversies like this. One of the things I've observed is there is a particular political slant to a lot of this abuse and harassment stuff. Much of it is used ideologically. Much of it is used to criticize libertarian and conservative points of view. You know what? We're all in public life. We all get criticism. We all get death threats. We all get rape threats. We all get bomb threats. But there's only one particular side of the political divide that makes hay out of them, that constantly whinges about them, that in fact turns them into a sort of career.
You are also the leader of Gays for Trump, is that correct?
Well, I'm not the leader, but I did host a party last night. It was fantastic. A party for Daddy, who I call him Daddy.
You call Donald Trump Daddy?
I
Why?
do, because I want to be the father of the nation. I've come here as a warning from Europe to you people about what happens when you clamp down too much on free speech, when you forget this, the key importance of the First and the Second Amendments, right? We're seeing it happen in Europe. We're seeing Islamization of Europe. We're seeing clampdowns on free speech. In Nottingham, in the UK, it's now an arrestable offence to be misogynist. Well, what does that even mean? That's in the eye of the beholder. In Scotland, you can be arrested by the police for being offensive. That's really Orwellian. That's insane.
So when Donald Trump talks about banning Muslims, you don't see that as contradictory to everything you just said?
No, I don't, because because America is founded on freedoms. America is founded on the Constitution, the First and Second Amendment, and it is modern, Western, liberal, democratic capitalism that gave women and gays and blacks the rights they enjoy. And where those things don't exist elsewhere in the world, women and gays have a much worse time. By preventing immigration from a culture that wants me dead, frankly, it is a protection of freedom,
I'm going to stop you for 1 second.
You see, while I don't agree on stopping or banning Muslim immigration, I don't agree that we should be taking in Muslim refugees, as well as I don't believe that Islam is the religion of peace. I don't care how tolerant you are. I consider myself a libertarian. I consider freedom of culture, freedom of religion. You are free to express your ideas, so as long as it doesn't interfere with somebody else's liberties. But that's exactly what Islam does. What do Christians do? They refuse to bake cakes. What do Muslims do? They refuse to bake cakes and they throw gay men off of buildings. That's exactly what the religion of Islam does in the Middle East. So while I don't agree with a full-out ban, I also agree that we should criticize Islam.
but Donald Trump arriving in Cleveland.
Daddy Force One.
You call it Daddy Force One?
I do. When I'm press secretary, I want Debonair Force One.
Milo Yiannopoulos?
Thanks very much.
It's been interesting. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, let's...